And to give us his fearless forecast on this rematch is sportscaster renowned Mr. Noel Zarate. Good morning to you, Noel.
Good morning, Hillary, and good morning to everybody watching.
Thank you so much for making time so early in the day to be with us. So let's get right down to business. We can't wait for the juicy bits from you. Did you expect that it would be, you know, the Spurs and the Heat coming head-to-head on Game 1 of the NBA Finals?
It was logical to begin the season to think that they would be meeting again, but it hasn't. A rematch of the finals hasn't actually happened since 1998, 97, 98. So this is a rare feat for two teams, the two same teams, to be meeting in the finals. I actually picked the two teams that they eliminated to make it to the NBA Finals. I thought it was going to be the Indiana Pacers against the Oklahoma City Thunder at the start of the season.
Right.
But these are the two most deserving teams. They've worked very hard to be where they are today, and Game 1's in a few minutes.
Now, so let's look at a quick look at history. Now, we have these two great teams, the Spurs never having lost Game 1 of any of the past 5 games, was it? The title round. Now, should this be an intimidating factor for the Heat at all, considering they won last year?
Well, you know what? For San Antonio, home court's going to be huge for them this year. Game 1 and Game 2 are going to be at the AT&T Center in their home court. And as you said, they don't lose Game 1. It's not a tradition for them to lose Game 1. So, and I think they do have the tools. Tony Parker will be playing Game 1. And he did get injured in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals, but he'll be back. In what condition? In what condition is the question. But he will be playing. He won't miss Game 1 of the Finals. And I think the Spurs can get it done, at least here in Game 1.
Okay, so if we look at a position-to-position matchup, let's take a look at that one. So, for example, we've got, as a center, we've got Tim Duncan versus Chris Bosh. Which team do you think has the edge on that in terms of player performance? You
know what? Chris Bosh has been playing his best basketball in the playoffs in his entire career now. In fact, Chris Bosh has connected on 24 three-point shots or 25 three-point shots this entire postseason. He's had 24 his entire career.
Yeah, wow.
So he's really jumped it up here. But Tim Duncan is still Tim Duncan. You know, he's a surefire Hall of Famer. It depends on where the ball goes, but if it goes to the post, I think Tim Duncan still has the edge over Chris Bosh.
So we're giving that one to the Spurs.
I would think so.
Okay, let's move to the small forward. LeBron James versus Kawhi Leonard. Who do you think has the edge on that one?
I think everybody's gonna. I think I'd get crucified if I said Kawhi had the edge there. So I really think LeBron is the best player in the world right now. With all due respect to Kevin Durant, the NBA.
Are you fanboying right now? You're fanboying
No, not really. Actually, I didn't like it when LeBron moved to Miami from Cleveland, but you gotta give respect. Yeah, you gotta give respect to LeBron. He's worked very hard also this year. LeBron's gonna cream Kawhi in that position, but Kawhi Leonard's been known as a fighter. He's proven it in the finals last year, so it's gonna be interesting. But definitely ups to LeBron in that matchup.
Okay, my last position-to-position matchup question for you is point guard Tony Parker versus Mario Chalmers. Who do you think has the edge between?
Well, if it's against Mario Chalmers, Tony Parker's gonna be having a definite advantage. But if it's against Dwayne Wade, which I believe the Miami Heat might actually use that matchup because Dwayne Wade is bigger and probably as quick as Tony Parker, and knowing that Tony Parker has a bum ankle, that's going to be a dead heat right there if it's going to be that kind of a matchup because Tony Parker needs his speed, but since he has an ankle injury, Dwayne Wade might get the advantage there. But you know what? Dwayne Wade's also been having his own share of injuries, so it's going to be interesting as well in the point guard position.
Okay, let's look at their coaches. You've got Gregg Popovich for the Spurs, and you've got Erik Spoelstra heading the Heat. These are two great coaches, and they've both set such great examples for their teams. Now, what do you have to say about what these two bring to the table in terms of bringing home the victory?
Well, you know, Gregg Popovich has been there, done that a lot of times since 1999 when he won his first championship. They've actually won 4 championships. They're going for their 5th, whereas Erik Spoelstra's won it back-to-back. Nice thing about these two matchups is they have almost the same personnel from last season coming into this one. Gregg Popovich's defense has been phenomenal. His bench has been phenomenal. Miami's bench has been coming into play. So when it comes to the coaches, they're just going to let the players play. They already have the game plan.
They trust their players.
Yeah, and the players also trust their coaches, which is a big thing here. I believe that that is also going to be a dead heat, although the advantage in terms of veteran leadership would probably go to Gregg Popovich on this one.
Sure, he's got a lot more time on the field, on the pitch, as they would say, on the court. On the court. Okay, so give it to us. We are anticipating the game at 9 o'clock this morning. What is your fearless forecast? How many games? What do you think are the ones to look out for this one?
Well, you know what? I think the Spurs, this is the Spurs year. I think this is the Spurs year. They have the same personnel, and the same personnel from last year have already matured. We're talking about their old three, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and Tim Duncan. They've done this 4 times before, so they know what it takes to win. But I love the supporting cast of bringing in guys like Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard into the mix, Thiago Splitter. In fact, even Patty Mills played very well when Tony Parker got injured. So Spurs have a very deep bench, and Miami's going to be hard-pressed to match that. But again, you have 2 of the best players, or at least the best player on the planet right now in LeBron James, and 2 of the best supporters in Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. What I think Miami's going to miss this year is the presence of a Mike Miller. Mike Miller went to the Memphis Grizzlies during the offseason. He had some big shots in the finals. They may miss that, although Ray Allen also had a few big shots in the finals last year. They need their benches to come into form. The starters are gonna get their minutes. They're gonna get their numbers. But it's gonna be a battle of the benches. And I say again, San Antonio has the home court, and that is big.
So that's going to be a big deal because, I mean, if we're looking at track record, San Antonio has won, what, 92 of their playoff games
and
since 1995-89. Yeah, so that's not going to affect the heat of the Heat.
Well, you're going to throw all of these.
The morale of the Heat.
Yeah. Well, you're going to throw all of those stats out the window coming into this one. The important thing is that the Spurs have home court. They have the first 2 games at home. Next 3 games are going to be Miami. But if the Spurs get the first 2 games at home, Miami's going to get pressured. It's not like they haven't done this before. In 2006, Miami actually lost the first 2 games to Dallas, and then they went on to take on the next 4 to win their first championship. That might not be the case here. I'm predicting that the Spurs may take this in 6 games, probably even 7. But that all depends on Mr. LeBron James and on how he decides to show up, how he decides to become a factor with his team. He's been working on his ball handling. He's been working on his passing. Everybody's been benefiting and the Heat organization from the improvements that he's made over the years. And if LeBron plays like LeBron, he's going to be very hard to stop. But I think this is the San Antonio Spurs year to beat the Miami Heat.
Okay, well, Spurs, Tim Duncan guaranteed a win, as he says they are more motivated. But LeBron said it can only go so far. I mean, that's not much of a trash talk there. I mean, these 2 teams respect them, each other. What's your take on that one?
Well, they have some prepared speeches already. They know that it's the finals. They're going to get scrutinized, so they don't want to.
Diplomacy and sportsmanship.
They don't really want to say anything until after game 1.
Sure, yeah.
You're going to see some of the real statements come out after game 1, especially from Gregg Popovich if he loses game 1.
But he's such a graceful loser. I mean, like, if ever it came to that, he's such a graceful man anyway. He's gracious about whatever standing they
But he's
had,
one of the most quotable coaches in the NBA.
Sure,
so he might just say something, win or lose.
Come up with a gem.
Yeah, come up with a jab here and there. Eric Spoelstra's always been very diplomatic, as he put it. The statements are there right now, prepared for the media, prepared for the fans. But we're going to see a lot of the action do the talking in game 1, which is in a few minutes.
You kind of burst my bubble there a bit. I'm like, wow, they say such great things.
Yeah,
These are
they
such
prepared
sportsmen.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. My last question would have to be, I had a really exciting question that totally blew my mind. What do you think sets these 2 teams apart from all the others? Like, we've got the Celtics and we've got the Lakers having won only 59 playoff games. What is it about the Spurs and the Heat that you think gives them that edge in winning more playoff games than all the other teams?
Let's talk about the Spurs first. The Spurs have actually, for the most part of the season, been looking after their health. All right, guys like Manu Ginobili haven't really been getting that much minutes. In fact, if you look at the Spurs roster, nobody's been playing over 30 minutes a game.
So that's a big deal.
Because they're the older team. Spurs are the older team, especially Tim Duncan. He's playing in his how many season anymore? I don't know. I was still in school when he was playing.
Oh, we won't go there. Don't worry.
Yeah, and then Manu Ginobili as well and Tony Parker. So these 3 old dudes. Old dudes have been really reserved for the playoffs, and Manu Ginobili has been playing fabulously, especially during the Western Conference Finals. So they are rested and ready to go. Just a question of Tony Parker's ankle, if it's going to affect him. We're going to find out in just
did the rest do him enough good?
Exactly. That's a pretty long rest, 4 to 5 days. That's probably enough for Tony Parker to recuperate his ankle. Not 100%, but he's good to go for game 1. For Miami, why they made it this far? Well, they have the defending champions. You want to get the championship away from the defending champions, you have to do something extra special. And a lot of teams try to do that to Miami, but Miami's actually answered the call. You know, Dwayne Wade has been healthy during the playoffs.
Right.
Chris Bosh has just been phenomenal during the playoffs. And LeBron James has been LeBron James.
So they've been responsible. They've been taking care of this. And that's a big deal. Like, if you're an athlete and that's your livelihood, you do have to take care of your health.
You know what the sick thing is? If Miami goes on to win the championship, Greg Oden's going to win a ring before Kevin Durant.
Oh, snap. Here we go. If you
That's going to be pretty hard for Kevin Durant to swallow.
A little bit, I believe, yeah. All the memes are going to be coming out this early, I think. So if people want to follow your tweets, what's your Twitter handle?
Oh, my Twitter handle is @Noel Zarate. You won't see much basketball there. It's mostly volleyball because there are a lot of, we cover a lot of volleyball, but there are some basketball things coming out every now and then, and I might just barb a little bit about the finals, right, when it gets started. But I am saying, I'm going on record to say that I think this is the year of the San Antonio Spurs, and they may take this in 6 or 7.
There you go. The very words and fearless forecast of Mr. Noel Zarate. Thank you so much for giving us your precious time and that analysis.
Thank you for having me.
So excited. Again, Game 1 is set at 9 o'clock this morning at the AT&T Center in San Antonio.